My parents won't borrow me money.
Have you borrowed money from them before?
Years ago.
Did you pay them back?
You know.
Is that one of the reasons why they won't lend you money again? Okay. So you went to your friend, and she lent you the money.
Correct.
So why don't you pay her back this money?
Well, first of all, I don't have a job, and I have no income.
Why not?
Because I was laid off of my job of 7 years.
When?
In November.
Let's talk about before November. You weren't paying her back before November.
That's not correct. Prior to November, I was paying her. I was giving her cash and money orders when I could.
When you could?
Well, she got a payment once every month. And if she didn't, she sure got on my case and got it somehow.
You seem to have a resentment when you say she got on my case.
Yeah, because this is I don't know, it's a rivalry for us. I mean,
why?
Because it's back and forth. I've lent her money, she pays me, I've lent money, it's back and forth. It's been for years.
How much money did you lend to her?
Over the years, I don't have a true record of it. We've known each other since we were little kids.
I'm talking about big money, Miss Marion. I mean, did she ever borrow $1,000 from you?
No. I'd say in the hundreds.
Paid you right back, though.
And she paid you back?
Yes.
Well, that's the problem. What's your excuse? What's your defense to this case?
I don't have a job, and I can't pay her the $50 a month that she wants. And when I lost my job, I called her and asked her if I could pay her less than that. And her attitude was fine.
That's what the interest is on the credit card.
And then 2 weeks later, she calls me, and all of a sudden, I'm taking you to court, and blah, 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 blah. And I didn't ask to never pay her. I asked to pay her less until I got a job.
She has to pay these bills on her credit card because this money was borrowed on her credit card.
She chose to put it on her credit card. Thing is, I didn't go up to Brenda Olson and say, Brenda, please borrow me money. Brenda knew my situation. Brenda offered to borrow me the money. How she chose to get the money,
putting it on a credit card.
How she chose to get the money was her choice. If she chose to put it on a 17% credit card, that's her choice. I didn't ask her to do that.
Judge Judy is ready to rule.
How much are these monthly payments that you have to make?
At least $60 because $35 is interest alone. How are you ever going to get it down?
So you have to pay at least $60 a month. Most of it is interest, but some of it is principal.
Sure.
$60 a month. Now, I'm not really good at math, but that comes to a little less than $15 a week, right? $15 a week. Ms. Marion, you can collect cans in the street and get $15 a week. So you can't tell me that you can't work and earn $15 a week. Doing something. Do you understand? You have to work and earn $15 a week because you have an obligation. And this lady doesn't look to me as if she's rolling in dough. Doesn't look to me as if she's living on a trust of $1 million. Do you work?
I clean houses on my hands and knees.
Ah. And how much do you get a day for that?
Well, usually about $35.
Very good. Why don't you do this? See if one of the people that you work for can give her a day's work.
Yeah.
She could just go to work one day, clean somebody's house, and, madam, you will have your monthly payment to her after 2 weeks.
Minus the $50 a day daycare, I'm negative $15.
Just a second. Let me ask you this question. Work out an arrangement with a friend of yours so that one day you watch your friend's child and one day they watch your child, and you go out and get a job, and if it's cleaning houses like the plaintiff does in order to get her money, that's what you do. We understand each other? Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,600. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Thank you.
I'll be back. This is case number 143 on the calendar in the matter of Snook versus Snook. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
You folks were married for 8 years. Still married, but in the process of getting a divorce.
Correct.
Correct?
Correct.
You have 2 kids?
Yes.
How old are they?
8 and 3. 8 and 3?
Boy and a girl?
Yes.
At issue in this case are 2 loans that were made during the course of your marriage. One for $3,500? $3,800 to your mother.
Yes.
And another one to a friend for $1,500.
Correct.
Correct.
You, sir, seem to acknowledge that these loans were made, but refuse to contribute towards repaying them.
Yes.
You're going to tell me why in a minute, I assume. Also at issue are possession of wedding photographs? Is that in an album?
There's a few that he has that he's taken out, but I have some, he has some, but I prefer to have them all together.
They're more like personal photos, private photos that she would like to have back.
I'm talking about the wedding photos.
The wedding photos?
Yes.
There was a few he had, but that was not the issue. The ones that were the issue was the private, personal photos that we had that I want back. And the photos of our kids, videotapes of the children that he has.
Well, first, let's talk about the loans, then we'll talk about these photographs. What was this loan for $3,800 to her mother? What was it for?
Money accumulated through the time of our marriage that her mom had loaned her.
What do you mean loaned her?
Excuse me. Yes, thank you.
Just a second.
Sorry.
I don't need help. What do you mean that she loaned her?
Some of the loans I knew about, some of the loans I did not know about. They were for bills that we accumulated.
Well, sir, you seem to acknowledge that her mother made loans to you as a couple.
Yes.
For your bills in the amount of $3,800. Now, that doesn't mean that he's responsible to pay the $3,800. You understand that?
That he's not responsible to pay it?
No, he's only responsible to pay a portion of it.
Yes.
Half of it. You seem not to understand that in your papers.
Well, he won't pay any of it.
You understand, at least I hope you understand now, that he is not solely responsible for paying the $3,800. If your mother made a loan to the two of you as a couple, it seems reasonable for each of you to be responsible for half of that loan, unless you can give me some reason why you shouldn't be responsible for half of that loan.
I don't think I should be responsible for any of the loan.
Well, you're going to tell me why in a second. We haven't gotten to that part yet. First, I want to make sure that she's being reasonable. Then I'll get to your being reasonable.
First off, I do think he should pay for most of it too, because part of the loan that we took out, she wrote off $2,500 of it through my college education that I had before I met Jamie. And
I don't understand that.
We had a debt of about $6,500, and she wrote off $2,500 of it as a thank you to me for me paying for my own college.
I'm not talking about your college, madam. I'm talking about the money that your mother lent, come on, for your household bills, which were $3,800. I assume over the course of time this was in dribs and drabs.
Yes, and part of it also was for his vending that he had to take out, and I figure he should pay for that.
For his what?
He has vending machines, like snack machines and stuff.
Were the vending machines the source of your family's income?
No.
What do you do for a living, sir?
I work at special effects and repairs on rides.
And you also have some vending machines?
Yes.
And what did you do with the money that you got from these vending machines?
I was paying on the loan that was taken out for the machines. And the accounts were small, so they weren't making enough to pay the loans.
So you were hoping that this business would get going?
Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to debate this with you any further. You are responsible for half of these loans. Now, let's get to you. You don't think you should be responsible for any loan to her mother?
Correct.
Tell me why.
Currently, I'm paying out a month right now for my expenses and her expenses, $2,800 a month. That's just monthly payments. I write out every month in checks.
Right.
And then I have another $10,000 of other unpaid bills that I'm going to be responsible to pay for also. So as a contribution towards this, she can take care of that loan while I'm taking care of my living expenses.
Do you work?
Presently, right now, no, I don't.
Well, how are you supporting yourself?
Right now, Jamie is supporting us with what he gives us, but Jamie seems to only want to pay when he wants to pay the bills, and he doesn't have a $10,000 debt that I'm involved in. So I disagree with what he's saying there.
What kind of work had you been doing?
I'm a hairdresser. And I did for 10 years, and I supported Jamie for the first 2 years of our relationship.
I assume that when the divorce is over, you're going to go back to work.
I'm going back to work.
So, sir.
Yes.
Right now, are you voluntarily paying this $2,800, or are you paying it by court order?
Voluntarily.
You're going to have to allocate some of that money towards repaying the loan to her mother. Half of it. Do you understand? $1,800. Half the loan to her mother. Now you have a $1,500 loan to a friend. What was that for? Who wants to tell me?
It was a loan she had taken out from a friend of hers to catch up on some bills we were behind on, and...
Mr. Snook, you keep saying she took out the loans to catch up on bills that we were behind on.
Well...
You mean she asked for the loan?
She did.
And you, too, spent the money on household bills that you were behind on?
Yes.
So, why shouldn't you be responsible for paying back half of those bills?
Initially, I would have felt I was responsible to pay back half, or pay the full amount of the loan or half the loan, except for on the time of our disputing of our difficult times, this gentleman started calling the house and asking her out, and they would go out to the bar and they'd meet and have drinks and stuff, and I thought it was very disrespectful for him to go after my wife and as a friend, and I don't feel like I should pay him now.
You don't have to love him, sir. You just have to pay him. And you only have to pay him half, so it should make you feel better.
I felt he was wrong on that because he felt I was having an affair with this guy, Terry, which I wasn't. He felt I was doing something behind his back, so he wasn't going to repay this loan. He tells me flat out that he's not repaying it because he says, I cheated with another man, and now I can do the debt. But that's not true. And
well, whatever. You asked Terry for the $1,500.
Only because he asked me to.
I did not.
Just a second. You sound, madam,
Yes.
You sound like a very, very self-assured person. You didn't ask Terry only because he asked you to. I mean, he didn't strap you down.
No, I don't normally go out and ask people for money.
But you
especially
asked
friends.
Terry for this money. You have to pay $750 back to Terry, and so do you. Do you understand? That's
Yes,
fair.
ma'am.
We're talking about being fair. When a marriage breaks up, there are certain assets, and each of you will want half the assets, and there are certain liabilities.
Yeah, but being that I owe him money, I don't think he should be contacting my wife and trying to go out with her.
That's none of your business at this point.
Well, there was a
Just a second. Don't respond. That's none of your business at
That
this
was
point.
disrespectful as a friend, and then expect me to pay him money after he's trying to sleep with my wife. And then he wants his money back, so he gets her and the money too.
Let me explain something to you. You made this debt. You and your wife made this debt. If it turned out that you didn't like him over anything, whether you felt that he was disrespectful towards you because he was pursuing your wife, whether that's true or not, it's really not relevant. Whether he disrespected you in some other way, that does not negate the fact that you owe this money. Somebody is going to have to pay him back the money, and you originally agreed to pay him back this money as a couple. Period. End of discussion. Do you understand?
Yes.
Perfect. Now let's get to the rest of the stuff, which all sometimes is the most sticky of wickets with regard to people who are divorcing.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She's a black widow, and you let her come in.
Yeah, but
She did her little nest, and you fell for it.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Melinda Snook says her husband James cheated on her. James says Melinda was unfaithful. While waiting for a divorce, they have brought their dispute over 2 loans before Judge Judith Scheindlin.
Wedding photographs, photographs of the children, videos of the babies. These things are treasures of the children's, not really yours. It's interesting, 50% of the marriages in this country unfortunately fail. It's a sad statistic, but true. And so many wedding albums end up having heads cut out of them. You know what I'm talking about? Mm-hmm. Because that's what you choose to do. Truth is, when your children are adults and much older and you're not here anymore, your children and grandchildren would like to be able to look at their family histories. So I want you to think of these photographs of your wedding and the times that you spent together with your children as really being, you're holding them in trust for your kids. They're not really yours. The wedding albums really will have no sentimental value for you, but they will for your children. The wedding photographs should not be headless. This picture, you have no head in that picture. He has no head. So I don't care how you deal with that. If one person wants to keep them and put them in a vault, we can do that. Or it's very easy. We live in a very technologically sophisticated era. You can make copies of pictures. You can make copies of videos. So you have family videos that are in your possession. Is that right?
Yes.
And you would like them.
Not just the family videos. He also has some personal pictures I want to make sure I get back.
Let's talk about the personal pictures in a second. I'm talking about the children's pictures. If that's not an issue, then don't waste my time.
Oh, no, it is an
we put
issue.
it in the, you put it in your paper, so I'm
yes, I want
addressing
the
it.
videos because he said I couldn't have them.
Sir,
Yes.
she should have every picture that you have in your possession, or a copy thereof. You have pictures in your possession?
At home, yes.
Well, whether they're at home or whatever.
I already made the albums for the kids. That's why I want these pictures back.
Fine. He would like copies of all the pictures that you have. Do you understand?
Yes.
Is that reasonable?
Yes.
Good. So you add them all up. If you have 100 pictures, each one of you pay for 50 and make copies. So now you have half. And if you have a video that you want, is it a video of the kids?
Yes.
How many videos do you have of the children?
About roughly 8 or 9. I have them here.
Let me see what they're on. What kind of thing are they
I'm
on?
on VHS tape, Judge.
8
Just a
millimeter.
second. My technical advisor is giving me some information.
You can copy them on a VHS tape.
Good. You can copy them on a
VHS tape.
VHS tape. Make her a copy. So she has a copy and you have a copy. Is that fair?
Yes.
Perfect. Now, the photos that you want, I assume, the personal photos, because of the way you say it to me, probably of photographs that you would not like to have broadcast.
Exactly.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I believed everything she said, that she was fooling around on me and cheating on me, and I took it very hard.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. A divorcing couple, Melinda and James Snook, have come before Judge Judith Scheindlin to decide who should pay for outstanding loans.
Are they
Yes.
all there, sir?
Yes.
And the tape?
Just a second. I want you,
And
this is a
negatives?
tape,
Yes.
the tape in issue. Don't tell me what's on it. This is a family courtroom. I want you to look at these photographs and tell me if these are the photographs that you have a problem with. Okay?
If they're not all there?
Well, don't speculate. Look.
Most of them.
Okay.
There's a few I can see that he might not call bad that I still consider bad, but aren't in there.
But these are the worst
Yes.
of the lot.
Yes.
Now, you want them back or you want them destroyed?
Destroyed.
We're good at that. Okay, so
And no
you understand the
copies were
ground
made?
rules? Everything that you have of the kids, everything that you have of the kids is going to be copied so that each of you has a copy, so that hopefully the children will have always copies, pictures of themselves growing up,
Exactly.
that you will each have photographs. Hopefully that the children will always have the photographs to look back on. And you, sir, are going to give her a check for $2,650, and you are going to assume those two debts yourself. Do you understand?
Yes.
Okay? Now, is there anything that I've left out?
Yes.
What?
A mutual friend of ours that caused this whole thing that he is bothering to leave out why he won't pay the debts.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She was convincing, I guess.
Why? Why?
She told me what I wanted to hear.
Just a second. He's paying the debt. Come on.
There's more to this than that, though.
Listen to me, madam. I don't have all day. I got a lot of cases to do. I've just resolved every issue that you presented to me in your complaint. Okay? I'm not a psychiatrist. If you have a problem, If you have a problem, you should see a therapist. I'm here to resolve legal issues. Now,
Well,
are there any other legal issue of property
yes.
that I have not resolved?
There was some pictures, as I said, that are missing that brought
know
into
about
a girl. It brings in another friend that caused a lot of problems.
Did you understand what I said, Ms. Nook?
Yes.
Good. Is there any other property that you are interested in?
There is.
What?
There's a few, but I know she doesn't have them all. There might be nothing to you, but there are to me.
Listen to me. I have just resolved this. You understand what the court's ruling is?
Yes.
Good. One last bit of advice. You made 2 children. They're very young. They're 8 and 3 years old. You are going to have contact with each other for the next 20 years. Graduations, proms, engagements, weddings, after that, grandchildren. If your marriage is over for whatever reason, I want you to love your children more than you hate each other. Is that fair?
Yes.
Your children didn't ask to be born into a war zone. And I'm certain that when you had your kids, you had every intention of giving them a loving, secure home with 2 parents. That didn't work out. The children's emotional security should be paramount in your mind. And I want you to understand, and you to understand, that if either of the children has an emotionally damaged parent because of what you do to each other, that's going to hurt the kids. So I'm very serious with you. Love your children more than you hate each other. Okay? That's it.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Good call, Judge. On the calendar in the matter of Trombley versus Trombley. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
You 2 folks are married, in the process of getting a divorce. You've been married for 2 years. You have a 2-year-old child, Mrs. Trombley. I have your complaint. You are seeking $5,000 from your husband for emotional stress.
Yes, I am.
Well, I'd like you to tell me about it. You have a countersuit. I'll hear that in a minute. Go ahead.
Well, I'm really suing because he broke into my best friend's house.
I tell you,
Well, I was
this
there.
has nothing to do with your best friend's house. There's nothing in here in the complaint about
Well, he
your
broke
best
in there
friend's
and
house.
attacked me.
Well, let
That's
me hear
what
about
brought
it.
this complaint.
Let me hear about it. The attacking you is something else. Let me hear about the attacking you.
Once he entered the house,
Yeah.
he ran through the house and threw me against the wall and kicked me and then left with our daughter screaming in the living room.
What had precipitated this?
I hadn't come home the night before because
Why not?
Because I was afraid of getting hit. And when I did come home in the morning, he raised his hand to me, and if he hadn't seen my friend, he would have hit me.
That's untrue. There was no threat of violence of her coming home at any point ever. She was with her friend partying late into the night.
He says you do drugs, Mrs. Trombley, and that you depleted the bank account of your family, took checks out, forged checks, ran up bills, forced them into bankruptcy, all because you were doing drugs and staying out, and partying with your friends, etc. Any of that true?
Some of it's true.
What's true?
I do have a past history of drug abuse.
We're not talking about past. We're talking about current.
No, I don't.
What makes you think she has a drug problem?
Oh, I have all kinds of ample evidence to prove that she has a drug problem. Just as of July 18th, I got a call from Burbank Police Department who had just arrested a drug dealer, stating that he had my calling card. I have here 12 pages of the calls that this man made with my calling card. Who was given?
Who is this man?
This man's name is nicknamed Morbid.
You know that person?
Yes, I do.
Well, what does he do for a living?
He deals drugs, right, Jen? He deals drugs.
What does he do for a
He
living?
doesn't really do much for a living.
He deals drugs. And this is Jen's main drug dealer. This is a man that she went to Mexico with.
While you were married.
What? Last month.
Is that right?
Yes.
Terrific.
My wife disappeared for 3 days on the premise that she was going to look for jobs. At 2 p.m., with no hassle, no fighting, we had made love in the morning. At 2 p.m., she said, I'm on my way to go put some applications in. I did not see my wife for 3 days. and she had taken both sets of our car keys and left me in the care of our daughter. I have a full-time job. I had to take 3 days off from work. On the third day, risking financial ruin and losing my job, I had to take my 2-year-old daughter to work with me. No calls from my wife.
Does that sound familiar to you, Miss Trumbley?
Yes, that's all true. And it was all because I was afraid to come home because he was hitting me.
Afraid to come home, so she takes a vacation with a drug dealer to Tijuana, Mexico.
Mr. Trumbley,
Order.
let me tell you this, sir. Let me tell you this. I read your answer to her complaint. Her complaint is nonsense. I don't know whether you hit her when you got into the house.
I'll explain to you exactly the events preceding that incident.
Your Honor, we have 2 separate police reports for domestic violence.
We have
and a
one
restraining order
police
that was
report.
put on against him.
Was there
for
ever a
my
trial
protection.
on that restraining order?
Yes, there was.
And what happened to it?
And what happened to it?
Today, that case was settled and dropped. Plead out.
What do you mean, settle, drop, plead out? What does that mean?
I pleaded no contest to 1 count of battery.
Does that have to do with this incident?
It has to do with the incident where I pushed my wife away from a front door for not taking our personal life into a hallway.
Was that at her friend's house? Just
Yes.
a second.
Yes.
This is the incident at the friend's house.
Yes, let me...
Let me.
Yes, ma'am.
And I'll ask you to fill in so that there is some semblance here. According to your answer, she had gone over to her friend Lori's house, right? And this was after she had disappeared for a few days.
No, that's...
She had already disappeared. There were periods of time, according to your answer, sir, that she had left you in care to care for your daughter.
Yes.
And you were afraid that when she went to Lori's house and didn't come home right away, that she was going to do it again.
Well, let me explain a little bit earlier in the evening. It was that very morning that I was late for work. My wife came home at 6:30, where I would have had to have left at 10 of 6 to make it to work. She knows this. We've had many, many fights about it. It's when she showed up with Lori, I did go like this in anger, not to hit her, but just as a show. I'm this angry. How could you do this to me again? That very night, when I came home from work, Lori and Jen and Aubrey were there in the house. They said, we're going to take Aubrey out and get some shoes. They left. They came back at 7:30 p.m. while I was watching TV. My daughter comes through the front door crying. But my wife did not come through the door. I opened up the front door, and my wife was at the bottom of the stairs and says to me, I'm going to the car for a minute. 5 minutes later, she didn't come back from the car, and the car was gone. It's at that time that I assumed she probably went back over to Lori's. I drove over there with my daughter, and that's where she was. I found that that was kind of peculiar.
You weren't screaming your head off.
I wasn't screaming at anything.
Mr. Trumbley.
Yes. May I continue?
No. Because while I can smell a drug problem from at least 15 feet away, and she has a drug problem.
Yes, that's true.
Based upon my assessment of her demeanor and based upon the things that she has said to me so far, I have some trouble with your response. And let me tell you why, sir.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I'm just a hardworking guy. I have no record. I've never been expelled from school. I'm nothing but a decent guy that was raised the right way.
And later today,
you came in with your girlfriend, Christina,
Girlfriend?
who now lives with you. Who
I'm going to have him live with me?
Who is your lover? Admit it, okay?
Okay.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Russell Trombley denies his wife Jennifer's allegations of abuse and claims she's guilty of neglecting their daughter.
You have a 2-year-old daughter. You say you know your wife has a current drug problem.
Yes.
If your wife has a current drug problem, I don't care what you have to do, you make sure that your wife is never left in charge of your child. You didn't do that. What you wanted her to do was to be around to take care of your daughter. Just a second. And I don't care if you have to get a babysitter. I don't care if you have to quit your job. I don't care what you have to do. You do not leave a drug user in charge of a 2-year-old baby, and I don't care if the drug user is your wife. Number one. You understand that?
Yes, I do.
Number two. According to your answer, sir, you went over to the house, to this Lori's house, because you didn't want to be in the position again of having to look for somebody to take care of your daughter when you had to go to work the next morning and you had an early morning call. Is that right?
Yes. We've exhausted all of our daycare issues. My wife left our daycare with a $300 bill that we owed them.
Sir.
We had no one else. We have no
Sir,
relatives here.
So let me tell you this. There are many people, unfortunately, in your position whose mate, whether it be a husband or a wife, has a drug addiction problem. You're supposed to try to be supportive of each other if you can, but at that point, there is only one innocent. And that innocent is a child, especially a 2-year-old child that cannot protect herself. So at that point, you can't worry about her anymore. She's got a drug problem and hangs around with Mork or whatever his name is,
Morbid.
Dork. Those are the kind of people that you hang around with if you've got a drug problem.
That's all she hangs out with.
Drug dealers.
All drug dealers. That's
Fine.
everybody she knows.
Well, then, sir, if you allow your daughter to hang around with her and to hang around with drug dealers, then you are as guilty of neglect as she is. Do you understand me? In my eyes.
With all due respect, Judge, these are events that have only come to my knowledge within the last couple of months. All of these things have been hidden and lied about.
Sir, during that time, during that couple of month period, you still left your daughter in your wife's care.
But I was only doing that on the premise that she was over at her friend's house. I didn't know that there was drugs involved at that night.
You can't have it both ways. We understand each other. You cannot have it both ways.
There was not at any point that I felt my daughter was in danger from my wife.
I'm telling you that it's not true. What I'm telling you is, if you are mated to a drug user who cavorts with other drug users and abusers and dealers, you are a neglectful parent if you leave a 2-year-old child with her.
I was doing everything I could.
All right.
ma'am.
So, let me get to your cross complaint because I'm going to take care of this nonsense right away. You say that she spent a lot of your family money?
She spent all of our money.
Good. That's what happens. It's a very good idea for you to get out of this marriage, to take charge of your daughter, and to start building a life with her, if that's what you think that you can do. Do you understand?
Yeah, that's everything I'm seeking and aiming for. But
very good.
These are the events that handle our lives every day, though. While I'm trying to litigate this, I am being forced to move out of California, forced to give up my dreams, forced to give up my career.
That's very sad. You made a mistake. That's what happens when people make a mistake.
I made a grand mistake, and my pleas...
That's what happens when you make a mistake.
I understand that.
Good.
But understand, Judge, that I have pleaded and begged my wife to get drug counseling, to stop fraternizing with these people.
This case is dismissed. The counterclaim is dismissed. Goodbye.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Out the back door to your right.
I want to get as far away from this woman as I can. I believe she's nothing but pure evil and will not help herself. I don't think there's any saving her.
And now the next case.
Parties on Silvas versus Boga. Step forward.
70-year-old Frank Silvas is suing 33-year-old Christina Boger, a woman he says was his lover and bride-to-be. According to Frank, when their plans to move in together fell through, Christina kept his furniture. But Christina says she and Frank were never boyfriend and girlfriend, and the furniture was a gift.
Mr. Silvas, according to your papers, sir, you are a recent widower.
Yes, ma'am.
And you were married to your wife for 45 years?
No, 41.
41 years. Shortly after her death, you met the defendant.
Right, but 18 months after.
And she was selling some sort of electrical
Well, the night before I met her, somebody called the house, was looking to make an appointment to sell mattresses. And I told the gentleman, says, I'm not going to buy one. He said, well, we got a new sales person. He didn't tell me it was a male or a female, you know.
Cut to the chase.
Okay.
She came to sell you a new mattress.
Right.
And according to your complaint, sold you a lot more.
Right.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I slept over there about three or four different times. In fact, we went to Laughlin. First time we went to Laughlin.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. 70-year-old Frank Silvas is suing 33-year-old Christina Boger because he claims she kept his furniture when their romance ended.
Over the course of several months...
Almost a year.
You gave her a lot of money.
Right.
According to your papers, gave her loans of over $30,000.
Right.
But you know that you can't get that here.
Right.
What you're suing for here is a return of your furniture.
Yes, ma'am.
So tell me how she came to have Your furniture in her possession.
Okay, when her roommate moved out, I was supposed to, move in, see? So, I says, well, we'll take my furniture up there to sell my house. Then she kept putting the dates off,
What dates?
That I was supposed to move in. But prior to that, Your Honor, she said she would marry me.
Did you ask her to marry you?
Yes, and she kept putting that off.
Okay. So you asked her to marry you. When did you ask her to marry you?
Before the first of the year, first time.
And what did she say?
She says, I don't know you that good, Let's wait a while.
So what happened? The romance is clearly over.
Well, I got evidence right here that really turned me off. She came into my house, took 2 blank checks and forged them. One for $1,000, one for $350. Then she came back into the house and grabbed those 2 checks and burned them up. That's what she told me. She burned them. But I got copies from the bank. And I got the police report on each one of them.
When do you say she did this?
I didn't find out about it till May, actually, Your Honor, when I got my bank statements.
How come he gave you this money?
Well,
I assume you're going to tell me he gave you the money.
Yes, he plays a victim well. He was always there to be very helpful to me, and was there to volunteer anytime I needed something. We started up a business together. This money that he's talking about that he lent to me was based on this business we started together, and any money that he gave me was to help me get this business up and going, and he was, in return, got a percentage of this business.
Just a second. Did he get anything in return?
Yes, when he was doing his job.
Just a minute. What did he get in return?
He got a percentage of the business, which was 10%.
How much does that translate to in cash?
About $600-700 in cash.
So he invested thousands and he got $600-700.
Let me explain something though. He stopped doing the business, and ultimately the business fell. It's not even in existence now because he wouldn't give me the information so I can continue to run this business. He kept it.
He gave you a lot of money, madam. I have checks here. A lot of money.
Okay.
A lot.
Your Honor, he's 69 years old. I'm 30. This man's got 45 years on me. He decides to give me money or do what he decides to do. You think he'd have... It's all been his choice. It's all been his choice from the beginning to do these things. Frank did everything.
Did you at any time discuss with him getting married?
No, he discussed it with me.
When for the first time?
He asked me to marry him so many times, I couldn't tell you. It was literally the first time 60 days after I knew him was the first time he asked me to marry him.
And what did you say to him?
I said, no, I don't know you well enough. And he was a heavy drinker, and I have a baby, and there's a big age difference. And I told him, I said, no, I think
a big age difference is 40 years. A big age difference is 7 years, 8 years, 10 years. 40 years is a big age difference. Did you ever say to him, no, sir, you're too old and I'm not going to be involved with you romantically?
I never said he was too old. The age difference was a concern, but it was his drinking that was more of a concern to me.
But that didn't stop you from taking money from him.
For the business, we were business partners.
I'm not talking about the business. So far, the business he got a couple $100 from, if I believe you, and he put in thousands according to these checks. And it's not made out to a business. It's made out directly to you, and you cash the checks. It's not made out to a business account. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. But I'm telling you now, don't piddle on my leg and tell me it's raining, madam. I'm too smart for you. Do you understand? Do you understand? If you took money from him because he was prepared to give it to you and you were prepared to take it, that's one thing. He's not suing you for the money. Yet. So don't give me any baloney about business. Business checks, if they're made to a business, they're put in a business name. Your business, I assume, had a name. Right?
Mm-hmm.
What was the name of the business?
Well, we were Banks and Associates.
So if he was lending money to the business, it would have been business checks, not payable to you.
Okay, when I came to him and discussed certain things with him, he was there to help me. He said, whatever you need, I'm here to help you. I asked him what he wanted in return. He said, just to be close to you, to be your friend. And I said that was fine. He could write me a check, and I could do whatever I wanted with it if he chose to give it to me.
Right, so you used them. Now, let's talk about the furniture.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
I want to know if the following things are in your home, madam. Butcher block.
Pardon me?
Show this to her, please. Are those things in your home?
Yes, they are.
Good. Can I have it, please? Court will draft an order that within 3 days of today, all those items will be picked up and returned to Mr. Silvas. Do you understand?
Mm-hmm.
All of them. And they better be in the same condition that they were when he gave them to you. Do you understand that?
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Thank you very much. That's all.
Thank you, sir. Excuse, you may step out.
And on the next.
Hello mọi người nha, chào mừng mọi người đã quay trở lại với channel tôi vẽ tranh trên kênh YouTube của mình. Và hôm nay chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu cho bức tranh hình ảnh của những đàn cá đang bơi dưới biển. Và chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu bức tranh này của mình nha các bạn. Mình sẽ tô màu xanh vào những phần rêu dưới biển này. Phần sao biển này mình sẽ tô màu vàng nha. Tiếp theo phần vảy chú cá này cũng là màu vàng. Phần đuôi này. Chú cá này là sẽ là một chú cá vàng nhỏ nha các bạn. Một chú cá vàng nhỏ đã được mình tô xong. Tiếp theo sẽ là một chú cá màu xanh. Phần thân thì mình sẽ tô màu xanh nha. Phần đuôi là mình tô màu xanh xong. Phần mặt thì mình sẽ tô màu cam. Chú cá thứ hai màu cam đã được mình tô màu xong. Chú cá thứ ba sẽ là màu hồng nhá. Những sinh vật ở bên dưới này chúng ta sẽ cùng nhau tô màu. Mình sẽ tô màu vàng cho chú ốc trước nha. Bãi đá mình sẽ tô màu xám. Tiếp theo những viên gạch thì mình sẽ tô màu đỏ nha các bạn. Và video mà mình đã hướng dẫn cho mọi người cách tô màu bức tranh hình ảnh một đàn cá đang bơi tung tăng dưới biển rất là vui đã được mình tô màu và hoàn thành xong. Chúng ta cùng nhau tham khảo mẫu tô màu này của mình nhé. Và video hôm nay cũng sẽ kết thúc ở đây. Các bạn theo dõi video hãy nhớ like, share, đăng ký kênh để ủng hộ kênh YouTube của mình. Bye bye các bạn.
Kim and I encountered each other roughly 7 years ago, swiftly evolving into friends. Both of us were raised in the Midwest as devout Christians, placing God above all, even family. Sundays were devoted to church and envisioning our future. My career was on the rise as an engineer, while Kim was engaged in selling accounting software for a prominent tech company in Atlanta. After my college graduation, my parents, having amassed considerable wealth, chose to buy me a 3-bedroom house. Eager to share their prosperity, they preferred to distribute their wealth while still around, unlike many who wait until their demise to pass on possessions, thus missing the joy of witnessing the benefits of their generosity. My parents delighted in their ability to share their fortune and the happiness it brought. Kim and I tied the knot slightly over 5 years ago. Since then, we've been living what could be described as a continuous honeymoon. Our intimate life flourished, with love being shared frequently throughout the week. We considered ourselves soulmates, much to our friends' dismay due to our evident closeness. The arrival of our twin daughters, both with blonde hair, marked a turning point for us, enriching our lives further. We dedicated ourselves to providing a nurturing environment for them, embracing a routine some might find uneventful. Our evenings were mainly spent at home, with occasional outings on weekends, and Sundays were for church. Unlike our contemporaries, the social scene and fashion held little allure for us. Kim dressed modestly, reserving any form of sensuality for my eyes alone within the privacy of our bedroom. Our marriage was grounded in trust and openness, never concealing anything from one another, which solidified our union. Kim's way of expressing love was through affectionate gestures, which I deeply cherished. We found joy in sharing our emotions and thoroughly enjoyed each other's company. Managing twins was demanding, but my enthusiasm for spending time with them never waned. Kim faced challenges with the twins, but I was always ready to support and assist, ensuring we resolved any issues calmly. Life seemed idyllic with Kim and our daughters. Unexpectedly, Kim was required to attend a 3-day exhibition due to colleagues falling ill, which put her in a tough position. Despite her attempts to decline, the necessity for her presence was adamant. She expressed her reluctance regarding the temporary separation. I assured her, offering support and handling her luggage for the journey, reinforcing the trust and perfection within our marriage. Our relationship was transparent, sharing every aspect of our lives, which made the foundation of our marriage unshakable. We exchanged our affection for our offspring and participated in all activities jointly. This is why the text I got from my coworker, Greg, was hard to digest and accept. It was the second evening of the performance when I got a text from him. "David, how's your weekend? I'm enjoying my time with my daughters. Kim is at the exhibition and here I am, spending quality time with my beloved daughters. Aren't you supposed to be at the security conference this weekend? Indeed, you mentioned Kim was at a trade fair, correct? Do you recall which one? Well, yes, it's in Atlanta this week, but I'm uncertain about the exhibition's name. Her firm showcases its merchandise at the convention hall. Why did you inquire? I'm dining with my team. And why are you seated? Indeed, what are you implying?" Greg's message was accompanied by 2 pictures and a clip. I sat petrified with dread. The initial photo displayed my spouse in attire I had never observed before. It was the most abbreviated dress I had ever seen. The plunging neckline exhibited her ample chest, and she wore heels. I was unaware she possessed such attire, and her cosmetics were impeccable. She looked breathtaking. In truth, I had never seen her appear so alluring before. Upon seeing the first photo, I was convinced it was a look-alike, someone resembling Kim, but it couldn't be her. I chuckled to myself, thinking I hoped Kim would dress like that one day, but that's not my spouse. My laughter ceased when the subsequent photo was revealed, which was a close-up of her seated very near and kissing beside Jonathan, one of the supervisors she collaborated with. I remained there, stunned, motionless, not even blinking until the next photo surfaced. It was another close-up of her grinning and gazing into Jonathan's eyes. My heart ceased when I viewed this message, but I endeavored to persuade myself there was a rational explanation until minutes later when the next message arrived. It was a brief clip of my wife kissing Jonathan with her arms around his neck and his hand on her right chest. That's when my world shattered. At that instant, I felt my entire existence crumble. Tears of agony streamed down my cheeks as my heart pounded and I felt sick. A message arrived. "Buddy, are you all right? What should I do? Can you see her at this moment?" "Yes, I'm going to call her right now and just check on her." I dialed her number and listened to the phone ring several times before it went to voicemail. I left her a voicemail stating we missed her and just wished to speak to ensure she had a pleasant evening. I contacted Greg. I just phoned her. "What occurred, David? I'm so sorry about this." She extracted her phone from her handbag, glanced at the caller ID, and then placed it back in her bag. "Man, I can't fathom it's her. I mean, I've never witnessed her behave or dress in that manner, David. I never realized how attractive your wife was. My apologies, that's not what I intended. It's fine, Greg. I appreciate you sharing this with me and not concealing it. You're a sincere friend. I'll resolve it and you don't need to intervene. If feasible, avoid showing yourself to her. Let me know if anything else transpires, but don't squander any more effort trailing her. Then I'll sort it out myself, my friend. Will you be all right?" "No, I'm far from that, but I'm aware of what I must do and I'll handle it. I'm still bewildered and it will require some time for me to comprehend everything, but you know I will. Thanks once more, my honor. I cherish you, pal. I'm here for you. Take care of yourself." "Greg, thanks once more." I treated myself to a stronger drink and sat in the dimly lit living room, attempting to grasp how my life had turned upside down in under 20 minutes. I was clueless about any issues in our marriage. How long had this been happening? Was I really that oblivious to not see the signs? No, she hadn't given me any reason to suspect anything. In fact, for the past 6 months she had become even more affectionate. Our intimacy had increased, and our bond seemed to strengthen. None of it made sense, and I was at a loss to comprehend any of it. Greg continued to send more pictures and clips over the next hour. There was a brief clip of them dancing, his hand on her lower back, another clip of them kissing on the dance floor, and a picture of them sharing a deep kiss alone on an empty dance floor. It seemed they were so engrossed in their passionate kiss that they hadn't noticed the music had stopped. I accepted that it was over between us, but there was still so much I needed to understand. Being an engineer and accustomed to solving problems, I switched into analytical mode and spent the following days devising a strategy. Unexpectedly, Kim called me at 10 p.m. after their last picture was sent. I took a moment to calm myself, determined not to reveal that I knew about her actions. "Hello, love. Sorry I missed your earlier call. I was at a dinner meeting and couldn't step away. I miss you terribly, darling, and I wish I could be there with you, cuddling and kissing you. I miss you too, Kim. I love you dearly, and it means a lot that you called. The girls are adorable, and I'll send you some pictures. They're longing for their mom to come back home. I tried to leave tomorrow, but my boss insisted I stay. It's tough being apart from you, love. We'll make up for it when you return. Are you done with your day? Yes, I'm about to go to bed and face another busy day tomorrow. I love you, sweetheart, and I'll call you in the morning. Good night, Kim. I love you more than words can express." I hung up as tears began to well up again. What I said was heartfelt. I loved her more than anything and wished this was all just a nightmare. It was past midnight, and I lay in bed restless, wondering if she was actually in her hotel room and what she was up to. Greg answered my silent question with another message. It was a picture of Kim and Jonathan on a couch in what appeared to be a hotel lobby, kissing intimately, his hand under her skirt and her arms around his neck. They resembled a pair of newlyweds openly expressing their love. "And one last thing, buddy, I'm calling it a night, but it seems she'll be occupied. Let me know if you want me to stop tracking them. I can cut this off easily. It's tough to watch, but I appreciate you sending these pictures. No, let her be. The blame lies with her, and you don't need to get involved anymore. Let it be. Thanks once more." I wept until sleep mercifully ended my sorrow and tears until the dawn brought a new day. Kim sent several affectionate messages in the morning, filled with hearts, kisses, and emojis, professing her love and how much she missed me and our daughters. She teased about a passionate reunion upon her return, behaving sweetly and lovingly as if nothing was amiss. I began to wonder if perhaps she was experiencing a dissociative identity disorder, unaware of her actions, or maybe she had been drugged. I sought explanations, but soon realized I had to confront the reality and make plans for the future. She was due back in a few days, and I had to prepare for the confrontation. We spoke multiple times a day, and everything seemed normal. She continued to express how much she missed us and her eagerness to return home. I couldn't decide what was more infuriating, the fact that she had been unfaithful and with another man, or that she had lied about it, making a fool out of me. The pain of seeing her with Jonathan was as deep as the betrayal itself. After receiving Greg's messages and confronting the harsh truth of my wife's infidelity, I took steps to protect myself. As the tech-savvy one in our family, I installed software on her phone that would allow me to track it if it ever went missing. Naturally, I purchased the most recent software available, set it up, and also taught Kim how to utilize it. This software suite included a feature for recording voice, text, and email with automatic uploading to the cloud when activated. To be clear, my intention for installing this software on my phone wasn't for surveillance purposes, but it ended up being beneficial. Before the incident last night, it never crossed my mind to delve into her private matters, but after that, my trust was forever altered. I felt the need to safeguard the girls and attempt to salvage our marriage if it was at all possible. Thankfully, the girls occupied my time and diverted my thoughts from my deteriorating marriage. Preparing breakfast, cleaning up after them, and engaging in doll play were activities I deeply enjoyed and valued. Handling 3-year-old twins is no easy task, I assure you. It's quite the physical challenge. By 2 p.m., I had managed to get the girls down for their afternoon rest. After taking a shower and tidying up the house, I sat down to catch up. Kim had sent several affectionate messages and mentioned she would call at 5 p.m. after wrapping up for the day. After going through her messages, I accessed the cloud through my laptop, logged into her account, and reviewed everything that had been uploaded since I initiated the monitoring software. I was shocked as I read through the messages sent to Jonathan. Here are excerpts from their conversation. You were incredible last night, love. I eagerly anticipate our next meeting tonight. Thank you, dear. I enjoyed it as well. Can we head back to my room after finishing up before dinner? Certainly, but I need to phone my husband first. I'll be prepared by 5:15. Does your husband suspect anything? Absolutely not. He's convinced I adore him, and I'll ensure he continues to believe that. Our affair has been hidden for over 6 months, and he's completely unaware. I'm adept at handling him, so don't worry. I had to pause reading as my anger mounted. Kitty. Did he call her kitten? That was my endearment for her in our intimate moments. Had she shared that with him as well? How could I have been so naive, so completely deceived? In a moment of rage, I threw my laptop onto a chair, stood up, and let out a yell of frustration. My anger, which I had typically kept in check, now surged uncontrollably. I was about to smash another lamp when the sound of the girls crying jolted me back to my senses. I quickly collected myself, entered their room, and comforted them until they ceased crying and calmed down. I allowed them to play in the living area while I sat with a stiff drink, cleaning up the broken glass from my earlier outburst. In my heart, I knew the marriage had ended and it was time for action. I lacked the strength to listen to any more of their conversations or to inspect the additional files piling up in the cloud, so I decided to continue pretending everything was normal with Kim, just as she had deceived me. My plan was to keep acting as a devoted husband while I devised my next steps. My immediate priorities were to contact a divorce attorney, hire a private investigator, and explore ways to ensure custody of the girls. They were my foremost concern and the only meaningful aspect of my life at this point. Hello, darling, how are the girls? They must be missing their mother terribly. Oh, they're all I can think about all day, and you as well. I'm longing for the moment I can wrap you in my arms. I promise to give you the warmest kiss. I responded, maintaining the act. Oh, my love, you're in my thoughts constantly. I can't wait to embrace my affectionate, attractive wife once more. Soon we'll be together. Somehow I managed to keep my composure, and the call lasted exactly 15 minutes. At 5:15, she ended the call, declaring her love and stating she had to leave for the bus back to the hotel, promising to write later. I adore you, another simple falsehood she was exceptionally skilled at conveying. I adore you too, darling, more than you could ever imagine. The agony of her falsehoods and treachery has now been supplanted by disdain, fury, and wrath. I was determined to dismantle this woman's life and make her atone for her falsehoods and treachery. I genuinely adored this woman with every bit of my being, and it was the most challenging task I've ever had to undertake. I encountered her at the airport, and she embraced and kissed me just as she had promised. Either she was a more talented actress, or she truly adored me to such an extent, while merely using Jonathan for intimacy. I remained perplexed by her antics. She dedicated an hour to spend with the girls and relished their company that evening. In bed, she was exceedingly tender and reiterated how much she missed me and the girls, lamenting her absence from us for an extended period. She mentioned that all she thought about was being with me like this now in bed, clasping each other. She was tender, loving, and starkly different from the woman who had been at the fair. I was affectionate too, and genuinely enjoyed our moments together. It felt right, and I yearned for it to be genuine, as being with her was how I envisioned spending my existence. Yet I was aware it would all conclude soon. I never disclosed what I had discovered, and I showered her with my love and met her desires nightly. Any onlooker would envy our seemingly perfect bond, assuming we shared the most incredible relationship. This charade continued for 3 months, during which I sought any hint of infidelity yet found none. She consistently returned from work at the same time each evening, with no peculiar calls or messages. I even pondered if perhaps I had been mistaken, and everything might resolve favorably. Mr. Bryce, a private detective, contacted me to schedule a meeting the following day. I drove to their downtown office and awaited in their meeting room. Good afternoon, David. It's a pleasure to see you again, greeted Mr. Bryce. Likewise, Mr. Bryce, I replied, harboring a mix of hope and apprehension about Kim and Jonathan's situation. Mr. Bryce presented a substantial leather binder, sectioned with tabs for text exchanges, voice transcripts, video chats, phone call records, and photographs. Before we proceed, I must admit my confusion, I confessed. Over the past 3 months, I've vigilantly observed her routines and everything appeared normal. She seemed the quintessential spouse and lover, leaving me baffled. Let's go through the findings and see if we can clarify things, Mr. Bryce suggested. My heart couldn't bear the strain of the texts, so I had ceased checking cloud files, hoping against hope. Yet the reality was grim. The binder contained over 75 pages of texts, 25 pages of emails, 75 pages of time-stamped photographs capturing their rendezvous at hotels, more than 82 video calls, and 50 pages detailing their conversations. Kim and Jonathan have frequented this motel almost 4 times a week for the last 3 months, Mr. Bryce revealed. Look at these photographs. Every day around 1 p.m., they spent roughly 2 hours together per visit. Recently, it appears 2 men have been visiting your wife with the same frequency. Do you recognize this man? The shock was palpable. Is that Jason Sinclair, the CEO of her company? Are you telling me she's been unfaithful with 2 individuals, including the company's CEO? I was devastated to learn of her intimate involvement with both men, confirmed through messages, calls, and videos. The video call labeled balcony actually showed him being intimate with my wife as she leaned over the railing. It seemed they felt invincible and didn't realize they were being recorded. Our 8K video captured close-ups of their expressions, and our audio recorded their voices too. He played the video on the 80-inch screen. There was Kim, my wife, leaning over the railing with her CEO standing behind her. I felt sick. I had to step outside the room for a few minutes to gather myself. I returned to the conference room and insisted they proceed because now I needed to see what else she had done. The video marked Balcony 2 showed my wife with Jason and Jonathan simultaneously. I'm really sorry to have to show you all this, but since it happened in public, you might use these videos if you decide to go ahead with your divorce and custody battle, Mr. Bryce said. I sat there, jaw dropped, struggling to believe that it was really Kim, hoping all of this was just a massive mistake. David, we've investigated Jonathan Wills and Jason Sinclair. We discovered that Jonathan has been married for 10 years and has 4 young kids. Mr. Sinclair has been married for 25 years and has 3 adult children. The text messages showed that Jonathan introduced Jason into their escapades after your wife expressed interest in experiencing the threesome. It's getting late, so I'll let you go through the rest when you're ready. Take the folder and this USB drive with all the documents and videos. Your attorney will definitely need both. When I spoke with my lawyer, she was shocked at the volume of evidence we had collected and couldn't fathom that there were no indications of her infidelity at home. She continues to behave like a devoted wife and mother, acting as if everything is perfectly normal. My lawyer mentioned that we have several legal avenues to explore based on the evidence I provided. She needed time to review all the options and set up a meeting for the next week. I instructed her to initiate the divorce proceedings immediately. Leaving her office, I felt an immense emptiness inside. I knew it was finished even before these meetings, but viewing these videos extinguished any last flicker of hope for reconciliation. Still perplexed, I pondered who this woman really was. After putting the girls to bed, we sat on the sofa and watched an old movie I found on Netflix named Unfaithful. I heard it was interesting, so I suggested we give it a watch. Since the movie dealt with infidelity, I had planned to steer our conversation in that direction. During the movie, I casually mentioned that a colleague had been making advances towards me for the past few months. Can you picture me with another woman? I joked, laughing. She glared at me, her eyes narrowing. Seriously, who is she? If I find out you're even thinking about it, I'm gone. You're mine and nobody else's, she stated emphatically. Even as I tried to keep the mood light, her tone was dead serious, making it clear she would not tolerate any betrayal. I was astonished by her anger over this given her hypocrisy. She was furious over a hypothetical situation while being unfaithful with 2 men regularly. This is maddening, David. Why didn't you mention her earlier? What's her name? Kim demanded, growing agitated. Calm down, she's just an intern. A young woman who's a bit too friendly. I've paid her no mind, I reassured her. And you, Kim, you're the most attractive woman at your workplace. Are you saying nobody flirts with you? Of course not. Everyone knows I'm married, and I would never be unfaithful to you. So in all our years together, you've never been tempted by another man. Not even a harmless flirtation or a kiss. Have you ever been unfaithful to me, love? Now she was visibly angry. Are you serious? Did you really just ask me that? I tell you all the time how much I love you. I'm always by your side. I couldn't even imagine being with anyone else. You're unbelievable. I can't believe you'd ask me that. I apologized, concurred with her, and we resumed watching the film. I silently chuckled, contemplating how she could have been an exceptional actress given her persuasive demeanor that even cast doubt in my own mind. It was no surprise she excelled in her profession. After a brief moment of calm, she nestled closer to me. Seizing the opportunity, I retrieved my phone, launched the messaging app, and displayed a photograph of Kim and Jonathan intimately embracing on the dance floor, his hand provocatively placed on her. Observing the image, she noticed my distraction. What are you engaged in, David? Why aren't you enjoying the film? Because what I'm observing here seems far more genuine, I replied, muting the film to show her the picture. She was momentarily speechless, struggling to articulate a response. I continued to stare at the photo, remarking, wow, such a passionate embrace with Jonathan. I can't wait to hear your explanation. Darling, it was merely one dance and he was inebriated. As the music ceased, he pulled me into a kiss. What's unseen here is my immediate reaction. I pushed him away and caused a commotion. It was an unwelcome advance. I see such incidents occur, she acknowledged. And that was the solitary instance she seemed less assured as she responded, yes, darling, and it will not recur. As the film played on, I reclined and enveloped in silence, aware of Kim's growing anxiety. Moments later, I accessed another video on my phone, capturing their cozy moment on a sofa. My gaze fixed on the screen as she glanced over with a look of alarm. What's on your screen now? Recall the evening you informed me you were exhausted and heading to bed early? It's amusing because Greg sent another message, this time a video, 2 hours post our call. Interested in watching? As I played the video, it vividly depicted them kissing, his hands venturing where only I was meant to venture. Eagerly awaiting another explanation, I remarked, no longer angered but amused by her flustered response. Oh, David, I'm deeply remorseful. After our conversation, Jonathan insisted we review a client issue for the upcoming meeting. I admit after a few drinks I wasn't fully aware. I recall insisting that I was devotedly married and left promptly. Believe me, nothing further transpired. That's where the dilemma lies, my dear, I noted, deliberately using my dear to underscore my point, capturing her attention with the term. The issue is, within these short moments, you've deceived me twice. Can you understand my perspective? I'm here by myself and the woman I adore is in not one but 2 photographs, sharing a kiss with her supervisor, all while donning the most daring attire she's ever worn. How do you think that makes me feel, my love? David, I cherish you. This occurred 3 months ago. Why didn't you speak up sooner? Honestly, I was waiting to see if you'd come clean on your own. I wanted to ensure that my spouse was as forthright and transparent as we've always been with one another. But now I see the reality of our situation. Are you concealing anything else? Are you involved with him? Have you fallen for him? I toyed with her, amused by her bewildered reaction and her performance. She began to weep, repeatedly expressing her love for me. Kim, please refrain from insisting how much you love me. I believe you do, and I still have feelings for you, but that's irrelevant to these images. I'm trying to comprehend. Why is there anything else you're not being truthful about? I inquired discreetly, activating the voice recorder on my phone. David, believe me, nothing occurred. Yes, there was a kiss as you saw, but that was the extent of it. Every time I told him it had to stop. I'm unsure what Greg observed or shared with you, but you have to trust me. okay? Stop your crying, darling. I believe you. However, I'm puzzled by your attire that night. You've never dressed like that for me nor styled your hair and makeup in such a manner. Was it all for him? You haven't answered my question. Do you have feelings for him? Are you contemplating leaving me for him? Kim, please, I need the truth. Her sobbing resumed. No, David. I only have love for you. I never want to lose you. Nothing transpired and I can't explain my choice of clothing. Perhaps it was because all the other women were similarly dressed, and I wished to match their elegance. I'm not entirely sure myself. I was feeling a bit insecure, I suppose. I can understand that. It does make some sense. But why didn't you inform me about your interaction with Jonathan? Especially since by your account nothing significant occurred and you ended it. I didn't want to distress you. After all, he's my employer and I couldn't risk my job over a misunderstanding. Had something serious happened, I would have told you immediately. I embraced her tenderly, allowing her to weep. This was merely the start of a month-long saga of enacting my retribution. That evening, we were intimate and I marveled at her fervor. Distancing myself emotionally, viewing myself merely as another one of her conquests. I didn't intend to forego the pleasure of her company nor alert her to any suspicions. Her performance was remarkable, but at that moment, my concerns were elsewhere. Her zeal was unmatched, evidently striving.